Stories of the Bible. Baby Moses. This is Moses.
Hey-o.
Moses was a descendant of Joseph's brother Levi.
Hey.
Joseph and his brothers had many children and grandchildren who lived happily in Egypt. Eventually, a new pharaoh came to power who knew nothing of Joseph or what he had done. This pharaoh feared the Israelites because there was a great number of them living in Egypt, so he wanted to put a stop to their prosperity. Pharaoh made the Israelites slaves. He made them work long, hard hours building up Egyptian cities. But his plan didn't work, and the Israelites grew more in number and in strength.
Eek.
So Pharaoh made a rule that no Israelite boy would be allowed to live in Egypt. This is where Moses' story begins. You see, when Moses was born, his mother saw that he was a special baby, and she kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer keep him a secret, she made a basket and put him in the Nile River among the reeds. Moses' sister stayed to watch what would happen to her baby brother, and soon the Pharaoh's daughter came to the edge of the river. When she saw the basket, she sent her servant to get it. When she saw the baby, she felt sorry for him, thinking he must be an Israelite baby who wasn't supposed to live.
Excuse me.
Then Moses' sister asked the princess if she would like her to find an Israelite woman to take care of the baby. So Moses' sister went and got her mother. Moses' own mother took care of him until he was old enough to live in the Pharaoh's house, where the princess adopted him as her son. And so, Moses, an Israelite boy who wasn't supposed to live, became the adopted grandson of the Pharaoh and lived in the palace as God prepared him for a great destiny that was only just starting to unfold. Stories of the Bible. Moses and the Burning Bush. This is Moses.
Hey-o.
Moses was an Israelite boy born in Egypt in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
The Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians. But God had a special plan for Moses,
Oh, wait?
and he spent his childhood in the palace of the Pharaoh. You see, when Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
Pharaoh found out what Moses had done, and he tried to have Moses killed. So Moses ran away from Egypt. He stopped in the land of Midian, and 7 sisters came to the well to give water to their father's flock. Some shepherds came to drive them away,
Hey, you.
but Moses stood up for the women.
Hey.
Now these sisters were the daughters of the Midianite priest named Jethro. When Jethro heard what Moses did for his daughters, he sent for Moses. So Moses came to live among the Midianites, and he married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters.
Huh?
Meanwhile, back in Egypt, the old Pharaoh died, but he was replaced by a new Pharaoh who continued to treat the Israelites poorly.
Oh, man.
The Israelites cried out to God because of the terrible things that the Pharaoh made them do. God heard these people and knew it was time to act. One day, Moses was tending Jethro's flock when an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses through a burning bush that would not burn up.
Whoa.
Moses stopped to look at the bush, and he heard the voice of God say, "Moses, Moses."
Hello?
God then told Moses how sad he was because of the suffering of his people. He told Moses that he wanted to do something about it, and he wanted Moses to be the one to do it.
Oh, me?
But Moses did not think he was the right person to go. God said, "I will be with you."
Morning.
But Moses said that he wouldn't know the right thing to say to the people. So God said to tell the people that God himself had sent him and promised Moses that his plan would be fulfilled through Moses. But Moses still said to God that he did not think the people would believe him. So God said, "What is that in your hand?"
Oh, me?
Moses said, "A staff." God told Moses to throw it on the ground.
Okay.
Then God told Moses to catch it. God showed Moses another sign.
Huh?
And told him to show these signs to the people if they did not believe what he said. Moses still didn't think he would have the right words to say. But God said that he himself was the one who made a man's mouth and gave him the ability to speak, so there was no need to worry. Yet even after all this, Moses said, "God, please send someone else." Then God got mad at Moses and said that he would send Moses' brother Aaron to speak for Moses. So Moses went back to his father-in-law and told him that he needed to go back to Egypt. Moses and his family started their journey back to Egypt, and Moses carried the staff of God in his hand, for this staff would be the tool God would use to demonstrate his awesome power to the Israelites and to the Egyptians. Stories of the Bible: Moses and the Exodus. This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
So Moses ran away from Egypt to the land of Midian. After many years, an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses and told him to go back to Egypt to free the Israelites. After much protesting, God granted Moses his brother Aaron to speak on his behalf. So Moses went to Egypt. And on his way there, he met Aaron, who was ready to do whatever God wanted him to do. The Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians, but God had a special plan for Moses.
Hey, everyone up.
After rallying God's people to them, Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh. And said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said. Let my people go." And Pharaoh made the Israelites work harder because of this.
Huh?
The foremen of the Israelite slaves were angry with Moses and Aaron for causing this trouble. So Moses cried out to God and asked why this was happening. But God said, "You will see what I will do. I am the Lord. I will deliver you from slavery."
Wow, okay. Hey!
Moses told this to the people,
Hey!
but they were so discouraged that they didn't listen to him. God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and to do exactly as he said. So Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh.
Hey!
God told them to take the staff and throw it down before Pharaoh.
Huh?
Pharaoh was not impressed. He called his wise men and sorcerers, and they did the same thing.
Hooga, hooga.
But Aaron's staff swallowed up the sorcerer's staff. Yet Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them.
Shoot, shoot.
Just as God had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the banks of the Nile River and meet Pharaoh."
Hey, Pharaoh. Oh, man.
Moses and Aaron did just as God had said.
Oh.
But again, Pharaoh's magicians did the same miracle, and Pharaoh refused to let God's people go. So God sent 9 more plagues to Egypt to show his power. Even with all the suffering, Pharaoh's heart stayed hard, and he would not let the people go. On the night of the last plague, Pharaoh woke up and heard a great cry in Egypt.
Oh, no.
For there was not a house in Egypt where someone was not dead. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and told them to be gone with the Israelites. So the Israelites left Egypt immediately and made their way to the Promised Land, taking with them many riches from Egypt. And they took Joseph's bones as they had promised him many years before. But after they had gone, Pharaoh changed his mind and readied his army to take back the Israelites. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh and his armies come, they were terrified. But God made a way for them. Through all of this, the Israelites saw the great power of their God, the one true God, and they put their trust in Moses, his servant. Stories of the Bible. Moses and the Red Sea. This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt in a time where Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
So Moses ran away from Egypt to the land of Midian. Many years later, God called Moses back to Egypt to rescue his people with the help of his brother Aaron. The Pharaoh did not want to let God's people go, and God showed his power throughout all Egypt by sending plagues. Even with all the suffering, Pharaoh's heart stayed hard, and he would not let the people go. On the night of the last plague, Pharaoh woke up and heard a great cry in Egypt. For there was not an Egyptian house in which someone was not dead. Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and told them to leave Egypt with the Israelites. So the Israelites immediately left Egypt and made their way for the Promised Land, taking with them many riches from Egypt. They took Joseph's bones as they had promised him many years before. God led them by a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. God told Moses to have the people camp along the shore of the Red Sea.
Okay, got it. We're stopping here.
God told Moses that the Egyptians would come after them, but that God would show his glory and power through this. When word reached Pharaoh that the Israelites had gone, Pharaoh changed his mind and readied his army to take back the Israelites. The Egyptians found the Israelites camped along the shore of the sea. As Pharaoh and his armies came close, the Israelites panicked. They cried out to God and asked Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness?"
Hey, everyone,
But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." Then God said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving."
All right.
As night came, the pillar of cloud became fire, and it went between the Israelites and the Egyptians. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and God opened a path through the water with a strong wind.
Wow!
The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land.
Come on, are you?
So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, with walls of water on each side.
Come on!
Then the Egyptians chased the Israelites into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, God looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. "Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites!" The Egyptians shouted, "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." When all the Israelites had reached the other side, God said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again."
Ooh, got it.
Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but God swept them into the sea. That is how God rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that God had shown against the Egyptians, they were amazed. They put their faith in God and in his servant Moses. Stories of the Bible. Moses in the wilderness. This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt, in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake and fled Egypt to live with the Midianites. But God called Moses back to Egypt to deliver his people with the help of his brother Aaron. After God showed his miraculous power in Egypt, he led the Israelites through the Red Sea and towards the Promised Land. They followed God, who showed himself as a cloud by day and fire by night. As God led them through the wilderness, the Israelites became thirsty and hungry. They complained to Moses and Aaron and said, "If only we had died in Egypt." God said to Moses that he would provide for his people.
Hey!
Each morning they awoke and found manna for the day.
What's that?
And each night God gave them meat. The people were still thirsty, and they were mad at Moses, saying, "Did you bring us out here to die of thirst?"
Yeah.
So Moses cried out to God, and God told Moses to strike a rock, and water came flowing out of it for the people to drink. And so the Lord provided for his people's needs. After traveling in the desert for 3 months, they came to Mount Sinai, and God called Moses from the top of the mountain. God spoke to Moses there of the future of his people and reminded him of the miracles of the past. After 3 days, there was thunder and lightning as a thick cloud covered the mountain. The people heard a loud trumpet blast. And Moses led people to the foot of the mountain to meet with God. God told them how his people were to live and how they were to honor him and respect each other. the Israelites had seen for themselves that God had spoken to Moses from heaven. These rules that God told them are called the 10 Commandments. And the Israelites feared God, for his mighty power had brought them out of slavery and provided for them in the desert.